global food insecurity.
And in sports, the Federal Hockey Lancers are looking to win in the regional semifinals. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Brenna Nye.
And I'm Emma Dolomere. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio.
Another train derails over the weekend in Springfield, the fourth time a Norfolk Southern train has derailed in Ohio in less than 5 months.
The Clark County Emergency Management Agency asked residents within 1,000 feet to shelter in place Saturday evening out of an abundance of caution. This comes about a month after the catastrophic derailment in East Palestine, where now Norfolk Southern must test for dioxins, the toxic pollutants created when plastic is burned. Chris Wynn reports more on the investigation and the messy Monday for the transportation officials around the country.
In west central Ohio, anxious moments at this crossing as another Norfolk Southern freight train derails over the weekend. There were over 200 cars in the train. Norfolk Southern says 28 left the tracks near Springfield, more than 200 miles away from last month's derailment site in East Palestine.
Nothing had spilled onto the ground and very minimal material on the actual cars themselves that actually dried very quickly.
Local officials say this wreck doesn't pose an environmental hazard, and an NTSB team arrives Monday to investigate the derailment.
I think we need to sit down at the table, both the union and the carriers, and try to get some legislation passed in order to make the railroads a safer place.
At the toxic East Palestine site, removal of contaminated soil is underway.
We're going back and looking at everything from management systems, policies, practices, decision-making that set the conditions that allowed that derailment to occur in the first place.
Monday air travel hit a snag for some as 2 planes came in contact at Boston Logan Airport. The FAA says it's investigating after a United flight leaving for Newark hit another United jet as it was leaving the gate. No one was hurt. This after a Southwest flight bound for Fort Lauderdale Sunday filled with smoke following reported bird strikes.
People were screaming, not knowing what to do.
The carrier says it returned safely to Havana, Cuba without injuries. I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
Norfolk Southern is announcing new reforms today involving the hot bearing detectors believed to be central to the East Palestine derailment. Their 6-part plan includes accelerating development of next-generation detectors, improving industry practices, and developing a train inspection program using artificial intelligence. Due to dry and windy conditions this afternoon, the National Weather Service says there's an increased risk of fire danger in most parts of our region. Residents are asked to use caution when handling anything that could ignite a fire, including machinery, cigarettes, and matches. A fire this afternoon could have the potential to spread rapidly, especially if dry grass and tree litter start to burn. Ohio and Kentucky laws prohibit burning during the spring season from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. In West Virginia, outdoor burning is prohibited 7 to 5. Forecaster Marissa Zarati has more details on the conditions today and the rest of this week.
Thank you. Yes, conditions today definitely are perfect for fire weather. Today's temperature got to a high of 72 degrees outside, very warm, as well as very dry, no rain in sight whatsoever. We are feeling gusts up to 22 miles an hour right now. So if we look at the radar here, we can see that there is no rain inside, very dry conditions, very hot, warm, and just windy. And so with all these conditions combined together, it's just perfect for fire weather tonight. So I do heed everyone watching just to make sure you're being a bit smarter tonight. It is very, very nice outside today. Felt like spring, and I'm sure people will want to go outside and have like a bonfire, but I very strongly recommend against that right now, since those winds could potentially spread the fire around very easily. Looking around at temperatures today, we could see that right in the region here in the Ohio Valley, 74 degrees here, about 73 degrees in Parkersburg, so very warm. And I will talk more about how this weather is going to be for the rest of the week. Now back to you at the desk.
Thank you. Morgan Local Schools plan to resume in-person instruction tomorrow. This comes as a union strike representing non-teaching employees continues. The district has been operating through remote learning since Wednesday as the members of the Ohio Association of Public School Employees Local 51 went on strike. Over 200 individuals began the protest for Local 51, which represents bus drivers, classroom aides, health aides, custodians, food service employees, secretaries, and more. The union is mainly focused on wage negotiations. School bus transportation has been canceled for regular education students, and a sack lunch is available for students to buy every day. The school says security will be present to ensure safety. Ohio lawmakers are considering a Republican-backed bill requiring hospitals publish prices for services. The federal law first went into effect 2 years ago, but supporters of the bill say that is not happening in most cases. In addition, the bill will stop hospitals that are not collecting debt or penalizing patients for unpaid debt. Coming up, Atlanta police say 35 are detained after a protest over the weekend. Plus, the U.S. taking significant steps to combat food insecurity around the world. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
I am so honored and thrilled to have so many wonderful people on my show tonight. Miss Yasmin Williams, Miss Sierra Hull, Miss Emmylou Harris.
Yet you don't believe her when she says her love is dead. Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Makes me even more proud to be black.
On Finding Your Roots, journalist Gail King.
We were not to talk about it, and she never wanted to talk about it.
Actor Issa Rae.
Whether I like it or not, it does inform a lot of who I am.
And director Jordan Peele.
I've always known that there's family out there.
Complicated histories.
How did they get away with that?
Entangled family trees.
You are 1/3 white.
Take that back.
Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
The war was declared in April 1917, and there was a need for encampments. Camp Sherman, close to 10,000 acres. It pulls a large number of men in. There's close to 2,000 buildings. There's this connection between the city of Chillicothe and what was happening at Camp Sherman. It's such an important piece of our history, and boy, when you're in Chillicothe, you really feel that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're all very welcome to our show here at the Theatre Royal in Castlebar and County Mayo in Ireland.
The beloved Irish crooner returns to PBS with a new heartwarming concert. It's Daniel O'Donnell from Castlebar.
Thursday at 8 on WOUB.
23 people are facing domestic terrorism charges after what protesters are calling a week-long mass mobilization. Ivan Rodriguez reports on what took place just outside of Atlanta.
Take a look. Police are calling these people agitators, using a peaceful protest as cover and storming the construction site of a planned police training facility in Atlanta Sunday evening.
This wasn't about a public safety training center. This was about anarchy, and this was about the attempt to destabilize.
In the surveillance video, you can see many of the protesters appear dressed in camo and masks, some even carrying shields. The video shows fireworks, rocks, and even Molotov cocktails thrown at law enforcement. No officers were hurt.
Actions such as this will not be tolerated. When you attack law enforcement officers, when you damage equipment, you are breaking the law. And this was a very violent attack that occurred this evening. Very violent attack.
APD says construction vehicles were torched at the location that opponents call Cop City. Environmental advocates are fighting to preserve the forest, and others say the facility could increase the militarization of police. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp tweeting this statement, saying in part, "Domestic terrorism will not be tolerated in this state. As we continue to respect peaceful protest, we will also continue to ensure safety in our communities." Atlanta police say at least 35 people were detained. Some were from outside Atlanta. I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Some activists are criticizing the law enforcement's response, but police claim they exercised restraint. The Mexican government is working on finding the 4 U.S. citizens who were kidnapped in Mexico on Friday. Authorities believe the 4 Americans were targeted by mistake. A U.S. official says shortly after the 4 crossed into Matamoros, their car crashed with another vehicle. In case of mistaken identity, the 4 Americans were assaulted and then kidnapped at gunpoint. Mexico's President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said he thinks the Americans had crossed the border to buy medicine. The FBI is working with the Mexican government on the investigation.
Iranian parents are demanding answers after a video surfaced of female students being carried into ambulances after being allegedly poisoned. Local media reports suggest nearly 900 students have been poisoned since November. Nima El-Gabayar has the latest on the growing public outrage.
Furious parents outside an education office in Tehran, challenging Iranian authorities desperate for answers. After what is believed to be the worst day of incidents of suspected poisonings at girls' schools. These videos were filmed on Saturday, which marks the start of the school week in Iran. For months now, Iranian schoolgirls and their families have been speaking out about incidents of suspected poisoning. The numbers of incidents reported to CNN in the dozens. Then, over the weekend, dozens more. CNN was able to verify these new incidents using video and witness testimony across 10 provinces. The US and others are calling for Iran's authorities to investigate these incidents. But speaking to CNN, medical sources say they have been barred by hospital administrators from sharing details of symptoms and test results, even with the patient's parents. We dubbed this doctor's voice for his safety.
I'm inside Iran. My phone is being monitored. I can't share any more with you.
Iran's interior minister, after months of vague statements, now says suspicious samples have been found and are being assessed at laboratories. Parents, though, say they don't trust authorities to investigate.
To hell with this country and its rulers. We would be better off without a leader. This is our country. They don't know what they're doing. They don't even have medicine.
All the incidents begin in a similar manner, as described to us by students. A noxious smell, and then
I felt dizzy and fainted. I had dimness of vision and heart palpitations. All of us had identical symptoms, palpitations. My hands and legs were numb and frozen. I was shaken. We had tears coming out of our eyes.
With no one so far held to account and parents no closer to answers, many continue to risk their lives to challenge Iran's authorities. Ni'am al-Baghir, CNN, London.
As many Americans deal with high food prices, households are seeing key benefits expire. Mike Valerio has a story on how this could lead to a hunger crisis in many communities.
The war in Ukraine exacerbating global food insecurity.
The crisis has been worsened intentionally by President Putin, who's weaponized the hunger of people across the globe.
Last week, the Biden administration announced 3 new partnerships in an effort to boost Ukraine's agricultural sector and help supply the country's grain to the world.
We've got to do 2 things at once. Get food to the hungry now, but also help countries build up their agricultural productivity and resilience.
The conflict directly hitting supplies of critical foodstuffs like wheat, corn, and sunflower oil, while also impacting global agricultural production.
Here's the thing that will affect the United States. 25% of the world's export of nitrogen-based fertilizer comes from Russia, Ukraine. And we don't have a viable substitute for that yet.
Here at home, many Americans feeling the effects, and for some, it could get worse.
We're preparing for an increased demand for food.
The rising cost of food is now set to collide with an end to COVID-era food assistance policy that increased SNAP benefits.
It's almost a twofold effect. The benefit levels going down, and people are already struggling with high food prices.
An estimated 16 million households receiving SNAP benefits will see them decrease by at least $95 a month beginning this month. But as food banks prepare to provide increased assistance to those in need, there is hope that a strong jobs market and improving wages will soften the blow. In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio.
Parts of the Golden State are covered in snow. That story's still ahead.
Temperatures are dropping tonight and for the rest of the week. Stick around for my full weather forecast to learn more about it. In the meantime, feel free to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Makes me even more proud to be black.
On Finding Your Roots, journalist Gail King.
We were not to talk about it, and she never wanted to talk about it.
Actor Issa Rae.
Whether I like it or not, it does inform a lot of who I am.
And director Jordan Peele.
I've always known that there's family out there.
Complicated histories.
How do they get away with that?
Entangled family trees.
You are 1/3 white.
Take that back.
Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
I am so honored and thrilled to have so many wonderful people on my show tonight. Miss Yasmin Williams, Miss Sierra Hull, Miss Emmylou Harris.
Yet you don't believe her when she says her love is dead.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Why Chillicothe? Why this area? For some reason, this became a mecca for what was probably a religion, what we call Hopewell culture. We'll never know the reason that this was so important to certain people and why that developed, but it's certainly a beautiful place for it to have happened.
Over the weekend, the California Department of Transportation removed just over 1.6 million liquid gallons of snow in the Twin Peaks area. John Lawrence reports on the progress being made and how some residents are still left out in the cold.
People are getting desperate up here. It's a dire situation, and it continues to get worse.
Parts of the Golden State are blanketed under monster amounts of white snow after back-to-back winter storms blasted mountain towns in Southern California. Anita Hudson says she's been snowed in at her home in Crestline for more than a week.
So you can just see the immense amount of snow here that slid off that roof. Look at the size of this berm. This is 15, 17 feet high, maybe even higher.
She says some residents in the area are running low on food and other necessities.
We're still snowed in. We're having to snowshoe out of our road here to get groceries, to get supplies, and to check on our neighbors. There's a lot of elderly and disabled people in the area that need help as well, and we're doing what we can to check on them.
The National Weather Service reports the Sierra Nevada mountain range could get up to an additional 3 feet of snow through Tuesday. This after some areas have seen more than 30 inches of snowfall over a 24-hour period.
I understand that this storm dropped a lot of snow on us in a very quick time period, but they expected the residents to be prepared, and I think the residents should expect their leadership to be prepared as well. And quite frankly, it doesn't seem like that was the situation here.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
California officials say part of Interstate 80 at the Nevada state line will remain shut down because of winter conditions with, quote, no estimated time of reopening. Now, Marissa and Brenna, I mean, it does seem a little weird. Ohio is usually the one at this time of the year that's getting a lot of snow, and California has all the sunshine. So why is that happening?
I feel like even today, it was so nice today, but it's snowing there. It's almost like we flip-flopped a little bit.
It did.
Beautiful, like spring weather today, So today, for weather-wise, we had some really warm weather. We had a high about 71 degrees, maybe about even 72 degrees. We will feel an overnight low of about 39 degrees, though, later tonight. Was pretty sunny outside today. Very nice, very spring feeling like temperatures outside today, but because of how nice and warm it's been and very dry outside, we can see there's been no rain in our region at all for today. So very nice day outside. However, we are currently under a fire weather warning, so just be careful if you guys decide to have a bonfire tonight. I recommend not doing that, as that has a very high chance of spreading for areas around us. Temperatures are dropping to a low of 39 degrees tonight, much colder than what we were feeling right now, actually, even. And that's because there's going to be some cold air coming from the Arctic blast kind of towards us, so it'll be a little bit colder for us this week. Along with this cold overnight, there is going to be a chance of rain coming in for this week. Tomorrow, it'll be dry with a high of only about 50 degrees, so definitely a bit colder than it is today. There is going to drop again even more tomorrow night with a low of 25 degrees, so very cold, and the clouds are going to kind of be coming in through this week. What we'll see tomorrow is going to stay relatively dry. All the low pressure systems that could bring us any precipitations are staying kind of towards the south and off to the west even a little bit here. So what we will be seeing for the next few days is Tuesday, we will be seeing a high of 50 degrees, low of 25. It's going to stay relatively stagnant, actually, for most of the week. About 50 degrees for most of these days and a low about 25, so much colder than what we are feeling right now, that is for sure. What we are going to be seeing, though, on Thursday, we can see kind of out west here, there is some systems, and those systems are going to be kind of coming towards us, and that is going to affect us for later on in the week. So we can kind of see for the week ahead of us, nice for the next few days, a little bit colder than what we're used to be feeling. And then on Friday, as that system kind of comes in through that day, there is a 60% chance of rain that we could be feeling. Temperatures are again staying in those lower 50s area, and then those overnight lows, very cold, 32 degrees, 30 degrees. So with that, there could be a chance of a snowflake here or there on Saturday when it gets kind of in the lower temperatures there. However, it is still going to be mostly just rain for that weekend. Again, that rain kind of sticks around for Sunday, and then the temperatures are going to kind of drop for the next few days there, 49 on Sunday and 48 on Monday with an overnight low of 25, but then it dries up for the start of next week. That is all I have for my full weather.
Coming up in sports, the Federal Hockey Lancers are getting ready for the regional semifinals. And be sure to stay tuned for WOUB, and here's what's coming up tonight in your local public television station.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're all very welcome to our show here at the Theatre Royal in Castlebar in County Mayo in Ireland.
I'm leaving on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again.
The beloved Irish crooner returns to PBS with a new heartwarming concert. It's Daniel O'Donnell from Castlebar.
Thursday at 8 on WOUB.
Makes me even more proud to be black.
On Finding Your Roots, journalist Gail King.
We were not to talk about it, and she never wanted to talk about it.
Actor Issa Rae.
Whether I like it or not, it does inform a lot of who I am.
And director Jordan Peele.
I've always known that there's family out there.
Complicated histories.
How did they get away with that?
Entangled family trees.
You are 1/3 white.
Take that back.
Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
Lucy Ware Webb was born here. As a young lady, as the wife of the governor, as the wife of the president of the United States, she's always the same person. Just a terrific lady. As residents of Chillicothe, we're very proud of her. To have a person of that character to represent this community, small as it is, in the White House.
Thanks to viewers like you, we've been able to tell America's stories on this PBS station. Help us continue to tell these stories now and for future generations by including this station in your charitable plans.
Supporting this PBS station through a gift in your will is easy. To find out more, call the number on your screen or visit this website. Thank you.
Welcome back. I'm Peyton Brooker. The Federal Hockey Lancers are returning to the Convocation Center on tomorrow night for their regional semifinal matchup. The Lancers take on the East District champion, the Highland Hawks. Federal Hockey had a successful Friday night as they powered past Notre Dame 64-56. Tara Cottrell finished the night with 25 points and will be a key player to watch on the moving the ball for the Lancers. Tip-off is set for 6 o'clock. With their win on Friday against Bowling Green, the Ohio's men's basketball team is on their way to Cleveland for the MAC tournament. The Bobcats made quick work against the Falcons with a 92-58 victory. Ohio ends their regular season with an 18-12 record. The last time these two teams met, the Bobcats were the ones that come out on top. Head coach Jeff Bowles talks about what the players meet when they take on Ball State. He said, we played them in the first.
We played them here in the first game. We only played them once. Very, very talented team, very well coached. Very similar to our team. They got a great big man.
Tip-off is set at Thursday at 1:30. And for the Ohio women's basketball team, their season unfortunately came to an end over the weekend. There was an emotional night for the Bobcats. It was also the last game for the 5 regular graduating seniors. Ohio was unsuccessful getting a win against Eastern Michigan, but the Eagles' offensive pressure was too much in the 74-64 loss. After the game, seniors such as Jasmine Hale and Abby Garnett were honored to say that they loved the time they had on the team.
Just like their sisters, and being able to be there for each other and have chemistry on and off the court, that was the biggest thing for me.
For him has meant a lot to me. Most of y'all know I've been here since 2018, so rode it out all the way.
The Bobcats end the season with a record of 6-23 as they look towards the next success next year. And finally on the diamond, the Ohio baseball team traveled to Carbondale, Illinois, and would fall short at a win against Southern Illinois 4-7. This loss puts them 1-7 for the last 8 games. A.J. Roush would have an impressive outing, going 3 for 4 and scoring 3 RBIs. But for the Sulkies, the bat was in the favor yesterday as they would combine for 12 hits in the contest, including a huge 3-home run by Rico Rodriguez. The Bobcats were hoping to turn the tide around as they traveled to Kentucky on Wednesday. And for Ohio softball, they would pick up a win against Indiana State in their last game in the EKU Colonial Classic. Bobcats pitcher Callie Caulfield had an outstanding performance on the mound as she would pitch all 7 innings without giving up an earned run. For CC Kindle, she would have the opportunity of a lifetime as their only lone bat would hit a 3-run home run in the top of the 3rd inning. Ohio finishes a non-conference matchups in Richmond, Kentucky with 3 wins and 1 loss. They'll continue their winning ways as they take on Marshall Wednesday.
Thank you, Peyton. Finally tonight, the European Space Agency is hoping to answer a question plaguing astronauts while they're on the moon. What time is it? A joint international effort is being launched to come up with a lunar reference time. They say timing is crucial when it comes to navigation, which is an important part of space travel. The ESA points to dozens of moon missions planned for the coming decade and notes some of them will not only be on or around the moon at the same time. The mission will also need to interact as well. Now, over to Marissa for a look at your final weather.
After what felt like a beautiful spring day, temperatures are going to drop pretty dramatically to about an overnight low of 39 degrees. Along with that overnight low, we'll have a chance of about 30% chance of showers tonight. Looking at tomorrow's temperatures, it will be a bit warmer than the low, but not nearly as nice as it was today with a high about 50 degrees. It will be pretty dry with sun peeking out and a little bit of clouds. Temperatures will drop to a very cold 25 degrees though for tomorrow night. Looking at the week ahead, there is a system coming in and we will see some rain for the weekend ahead of you, but that is all I have for my final weather.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Brenna Nye.
And I'm Emma Dollamere. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. We're going to leave you with a look outside of Athens. Have a great night.
Donating your old car, motorcycle, or truck helps